Hello everybody, this is Charlie with Charlie's Adventures. Today, like I talked about in the ceramic mic video, we're going to do a clone racing engine valve seal install, and while I'm at it I'm going to go ahead and put a new set of valve springs in. Right here is what we've got. This is our Southern Express racing engine. It's a clone. My son put new rings in it over the off season. I've got a long story about this engine. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I bought it off a friend of mine, and it only had like 2 races on it when we bought it. And we ran it the rest of that season. Then I sent it off to get it rebuilt. And when we got it back, it didn't even make it through the first race. The side cover bolts backed out. And it only had 4 ounces of oil in it after Ashton come off the track. And he was leading the race when this happened. And oil went to getting on his right rear tire, and he ended up getting loose and ended up getting second. But anyway, after that, I think I gave, I believe it was like $650 for a rebuild, and we got that race out of it and one more, and then it went to blowing oil out the pipe and all. So lesson well learned. We've about decided we're just going to go to trying to do this stuff ourselves. But anyway, what we're going to do today, we're going to install these valve springs and a valve seal. And I forgot to get the valve seal out of the toolbox here. Bear with me a minute and let me. I just organized all this stuff. You can see what I've got here. All this stuff was just thrown in the bottom drawer of the toolbox, and I bought a bunch of these boxes, organizers, and I put it all in these organizers. And I don't know which one it's in. It'll be the very bottom last one. That's the way it always goes. Nope, not in that one. Labeled everything on here, as you can see. Hopefully it'll make it easier on everybody finding what we're looking for, which right now I'm struggling, and I just put all this stuff in there yesterday. Probably in this first, yep, it was in the first box I took out. Imagine that. These clone engines only have one valve seal. It's on the intake side. That's what it is, and you can see your valve spring sits on this, so without it, it don't have one in it right now. You're losing just a little bit of valve spring tension that way. So that's why we're doing it. Give me just a second to get all this put back, and then we'll get started. All right, I'm gonna put you all over here in the toolbox drawer as usual. All right, first thing we're going to do is get this motor on top dead center, and the way I'm going to do it, hold my finger over the spark plug hole, and I'm just going to pull it slow. I'm feeling suction now, the piston's headed down. Oh well, I guess I need to take this cap off of the carburetor intake. That way it can at least pull some air in. Alright, now. And I got the plug on the exhaust. Alright, the piston is coming up now. Put this back on. I like trying to keep these covers on the exhaust and the intake when they're just sitting and don't have an air filter on them or anything. Keeps any unwanted dirt out. Alright, we're going to take a piece of this pull rope cord and we're going to push it down in the cylinder. And what that's going to do is that's going to help hold the valves up when we start taking, when we take the valve springs off. You may have to twist this a little bit or whatever. And, I didn't bring the piston all the way up. I just brought it most of the way. Don't stick, you push this down with a screwdriver, be careful and don't stick it down and hit your piston. Well, that didn't work. Let's try it again. Alright, I brought it up to top dead center and then I backed it off some. And, now I'm going to feed this rope in here. And there's probably many ways to do this. Some people use put a fitting in the spark plug to put air in it to pressurize it to keep the valves seated. I guess, you know, like I said, there's a bunch of different ways that you could do it. Alright, now I'm just going to ease. Okay, I felt resistance. That means the piston is pushing up on the rope against the valves. You don't want to pull that hard, just, you know, just easy does it. Put this cap back on. Put the cap on the exhaust. Alright, first thing we're going to do, or next thing we're going to do, I already had the spark plug out. Should have took that out, you know, in the beginning. We want to remove these 4 valve cover bolts. 8mm socket. Alright, now I'm take the valve cover gasket off. Seat it back down in the valve cover. Okay, now you can tell, see that's loose. And that's fairly loose, and then you know you're on top dead center. This jam nut on top is a 10 millimeter, and then the actual adjusting nut is a 14 millimeter. So you want to hold this and break the jam nut loose, just like that. All right, I'm taking the jam nut off. Taking the rocker arm adjusting nut off. That's what that looks like. It's rounded so the rocker will work on it. All right, now we can pull the rocker arm out. Now we're going to just push down and over. You can see how that is right there. It's the valve stem is sticking through this center, but when you push it down, you pull it down into this groove and it pops out. It's kind of oblong, odd shape. Show you the back side of it. And that's, you push it in and push it in up here at the top, this top part of the hole. Put the valve stem through it. When you put it back on, push it down and then click it up. And that's what holds that in. All right. And then, like I say, the valve seal goes down here. Let me get just a little bit of oil and put on this seal. Keep from pushing it down, which the valve stem, it has oil on it already. You never want to put like any kind of seal on dry. And then we're going to push the valve seal down. All the way. And then open our new valve springs up. These valve springs are 10.8 pounds. That's the rule on the clone engines. Put our new valve spring there. Now we're going to reinstall the keeper. Push it in and then up and it locks into place. There's a valve seal and valve spring installed on the intake side. So now we're going to put a rocker arm on. Kind of inspect it. All right, and then we're going to put our adjusting nut on. What I'm doing is I'm just barely doing it till I feel wiggling my rocker arm back and forth till I feel just a little bit of resistance. All right, and then I'm gonna put the jam nut on top. I'm gonna get my 14 millimeter wrench to hold that, and then I'm going to lock it down. That's probably too tight, so I'm going to loosen that jam nut. I'm going to back my adjusting nut back off a little bit. When you tighten this jam nut, it usually makes it a little tighter. Now you're wanting what you're looking for is to be able to reach in here and turn your push rod. And I can. That's what you're looking at. This one here, it may be a little bit tight, but we're going to adjust them again anyway. After we get the motor running, we're going to run it and let it get up to temperature and cool off. Probably do that a couple of times. And then we'll reset the valve lash then. If you set this valve lash too tight, they're hard to start. But when they warm up, the valve lash increases. So if you set them to 0 lash cold, you'll end up with 2.5 to 3 thousandths valve lash when they're hot. So if you set them with valve lash to begin with, it's only going to be more when it gets up to operating temperature. And that's something that you don't really want. More valve lash will help you on bottom end, lower RPM. Less valve lash will help you more on the higher RPM top end. Now on the exhaust side, you've got this lash cap right here. I just took a magnet and removed it. If you saw that, it sits right here on top of the valve. I took it off. The intake doesn't have it. The exhaust valve does. All right, we're going to push down, unlock that. Then we're going to take our new spring, put it on, and then we're going to push the retainer back up in there. All right, you hear that click? Singing. So there's an exhaust valve spring put on. Now I'm going to put the lash cap back on the valve, and what this does, it keeps this retaining clip centered. That way it can't back off. I'm assuming that's what it's for. I'm going to look at her rocker arm here. Everything looks good. Alright, then we're going to put her adjusting nut on. Put her jam nut on. Now again, when you tighten that jam nut, it gets a little tighter. So you just gotta play with it to get it. Sometimes it may take you 3 or 4 times. All right, we've got a little wiggle room. I'm reaching back here to see if I can spin the push rod. I can't, so I'm gonna have to loosen it up just a little. Still can't turn it. So I'm going to loosen it up a little more. Alright, I can rotate the push rod now. I can rotate both push rods. So that's it for installing the valve seal and a new set of valve springs in your clone engine. I'm going to wipe this off. And I'm going to wipe the gasket off. Valve cover gasket. My son re-ringed this motor back in the off season, and we didn't have a valve seal at the time or valve springs, and he just went ahead and put it together, and we started it and ran it. He put it through a couple of heat cycles without the valve seal on there. It didn't smoke or anything, but you do lose a little bit of valve spring tension on that intake side by not having it on there. So now we're going to put our valve cover back on. I must be seeing cross-eyed today or something. All right, there we go. We're going to get this motor here ready, and unless we can figure out what's wrong with Blake's clone not getting fire real easy, we're going to put this on his cart and let him do a little bit of practice with it at Godspeed this coming Saturday. I'm just barely pulling these down. Alright. Now I'm going to go over these by hand just to be sure. Yeah, you can tell that's not very tight at all. You don't want to over tighten them. I have no idea what the torque should be on these. That's a rubber gasket. Starting to feel resistance on all of them now, so I'm going to say that's good. All right, so now I'm going to pull this cap off of the carburetor, pull the cap off the exhaust, pull the rope out of the cylinder, see, I've not got any compression, so chances are I have those valves a little too tight, but that's okay. We're gonna set those. We're gonna get it started when we get it on the go-kart. Start it up and let it get up to operating temperature, and then we'll pull the valve cover back off and we'll set the valve. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this. Hope somebody got something out of it. We're gonna be mounting this motor, or we're gonna be troubleshooting Blake's, either one. Probably on a video here coming up. And getting ready to do some kart racing here. Some dirt oval, left turn only, here in the next few weeks. So I hope, like I said, somebody gets something out of this and it helps them in some way. But anyway, I'll see you on the next one. Y'all have a good one. Be safe. All right, we're going to give this thing a try. I figured I'd just make sure it'll run. Hopefully it will. I've already got gas up into the fuel pump and got the carburetor full. So we're going to try it and see what she'll do. All right, I'd say that's pretty dang good right there. I just figured I'd do a quick video starting this clone engine up. After you run these things and let them get warm, you want to pull them up on top dead center. They call it falling in the hole. You'll feel a little resistance and then it'll ease off. And that's where you want to leave it. That way it's got pressure off of the valve springs. But anyway, that's music to my ears. All right, we'll catch you on the next one. Everybody be safe. Bye-bye.